If you're going to reach your potential, you have to fight through some things. You can't have a weak, give up, this is too hard spirit. You have to be more determined than what's trying to stop you. You may get knocked down, but you have to get back up again. You need to have a made-up mind. This disappointment is not going to stop me. I'm not going to let the mistakes I've made, the guilt, the regrets cause me to shrink back. I'm not going to allow the bad breaks, the people that did me wrong, the rejection, the betrayal, cause me to get bitter and stay where I am. I'm going to fight through the crowd.
Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. You can never lose faith. When you don't see no way how, you have to buckle down and keep believing. God is always coming. Doubtless. You can't have no doubt. You can't have no doubts. I'm not talking about other people believing for you. You got to believe this for yourself. Being successful is not a magic trick. You just have to learn the principles of success. I am telling you, your education ain't got nothing to do with it. It's your dreams and visions. A man without a dream or vision shall perish.
You've got to sell yourself every day on your abilities, on the goal that you want to reach. You can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you. And as you convince you, as you sell yourself, every day you will begin to see a difference in the things that you're doing. Telling yourself every day, here I go again, and I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
It's possible to finish something before you start. In fact, it would be a bit foolish to start until you had it finished. So human beings have this remarkable ability to finish something and then start. We've heard the old expression, don't count your chickens until they're hatched. No, we have the ability to count our chickens long before they're hatched. Because we know, we have faith, we believe. We use the law of averages. There's bound to be at least so many. Out of every dozen, out of every 100, out of every 50. So it's possible to see the end, then begin. Start looking into the future of what you would like to accomplish, where you would like to go, the person you would like to be, and see if you can't get a better picture of the finished objective. See yourself there. See yourself in possession of. I was in business with Bob Cummings, the old movie star, for a while. He said, decide what you want and then act as if you already had it. And being an actor, he could give us a few tips on acting. Decide what you want and act as if it was already yours. Now, the reason we can act thinking that it's already ours is because not only can we vision the end results, we can also vision the beginning of making it real. So we don't start till it's finished, but it is possible for human beings to finish something before they start. Human beings are the only life on earth that has this incredible capacity to change the course of your life. No other life form can do that. Every other life form except human seems to operate simply by instinct and the genetic code. In the winter, the goose flies south. How often? Answer, every winter. If you said to the goose, hey, it'd be better this year to go west, he ignores that advice. And the reason is because he cannot make choices and listen to advice of something that might be better. He has to obey instinct and the genetic code. But now jot this down, not human beings. Human beings can alter the course of their life. Human beings can live one way for 5 years, tear up that script, live a totally different way the next 5 years. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. Someone says, how did you do that? Here's number one. I discovered I was not a goose. Someone says, don't you have to do the second 6 years like you did the first 6 years? And jot this down. No. No, you don't have to live the second 6 years like the first 6. You can use all the information and all the advice and repairing all of your mistakes and adopting a new and refined philosophy so that the next 6 years can be totally different than the last 6. No other life form can do this. See, if you were a tree, you'd be stuck. As a tree, if you used up all the nourishment that was around you and you couldn't change location, see, you would die. But that's not true. Human beings can change location, go north, south, east, west, live here for a while, live somewhere else for a while. So that's a note to make. You can greatly alter the course of your life. Now here's the next note to make. 5 years from now, you will arrive. The question is where? This is for mature people now. If you keep up your present disciplines and keep up the present pace that you're on, where will you be in 5 years? Boy, it's easy to say, hey, I haven't really thought about that. So now make this note. In 5 years, here's the probability. You will either arrive at a well-designed destination or an undesigned destination. Well-designed or undesigned. And I promise you, 5 years from now, you really don't want to arrive at an undesigned destination. Because you may very well wind up wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, living where you don't want to live, maybe doing what you don't want to do. Simply because you didn't design a better destination. Key phrase, up front, the decisions are easy. Now, sometimes after we've lived a few years now to repair our mistakes and get back on track, seems like a tough job. If you've messed up your health for 10 years, I'm telling you, it takes more than 10 days to get it back. But here's the key, and it's so exciting to talk to the teenagers. Make the note. If you start early, the fortune belongs to you. If you start early. All fortunes that are available to humans, if you start early, the promise looms large and the odds are heavy in your favor. Now, yes, it's possible to do some radical things starting late and still arrive with some good treasures and some good things. But when you haven't got that much time left, now sometimes the decision has to be so drastic people are not willing to make it and they're too tired and too weary and too ill. They say, look, I don't have much time left. It's not going to happen for me anyway. It's easy to take that attitude. But everyone here, we've got the time over the next 10 years. We've got the time the next 20 years. We've got the time the next 30 years to make some repair now in our errors of the past, set up some new disciplines. And I'm telling you, that's going to change everything. So 5 years from now, I wish for you to arrive at a well-designed place. A place of productivity. Place that'll make you feel good about yourself. A place that'll give you honor and respect. A place that'll give you influence to touch other people 5 years from now that you couldn't do today. Where will you be in 5 years? Key phrase, we go the direction we face. We go the direction we face. If you start designing something at the end of this direction, sure enough, you will start going the direction you face.
We find ourselves when we discover our purpose. Nothing is better than for a person with a plan for his or her life to find themselves, find that purpose.
It does not matter where you sit. It does not matter what you have on. But if you don't have purpose in your bowels, you cannot do what God has called you to do.
It's what makes you solid. It's what makes you secure. It's your mooring. It keeps you just exactly where you need to be so that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish, to discover your purpose, to find yourself. What a wonderful thing. That's what our subject is about today.
And if you don't have that tough tenacity, God-anointed, purpose-driven life, you will give up and walk away. But there are some of us that have nothing to walk away to. If it's fight, we just got to fight. We're like the woman with the issue of blood. If I have to crawl to get there, then I'm getting on my knees. I still got to go.
But there's a second challenge. Once we find our purpose, discover why we're here, there's a second challenge that we have, that we face, and that is to lose ourselves. And we lose ourselves when our purpose becomes bigger than us. To find a purpose, how important. But take that purpose and place it in a position with people that has eternal factors involved. Is to lose yourself and to go to another whole level of life and another level of living. Very few people find themselves and lose themselves. Place that purpose in a position that is so much bigger than us that we can literally lose ourselves in the process.
In a time of change that's taking place around the world, in a time when people are feeling a great deal of anxiety and fear, and reservations about the future, at a time when people are going to work and don't know whether or not they will have a job when they get off, and not necessarily because of their performance, but because of what's happening in the economy. At a time when there are challenges more so than ever before in personal relationships, that many times I'm sure that we've all taken time just to stop and reflect many times when we hear what's happening in the news or read the newspapers. And so I think that now more than ever, we must begin to look at what are the things that we can do will enable us to do some things and use some powers that we have that many of us go through life never ever discovering that we have those things going for us. And part of that, I believe, is knowing what it is your life worth. What is it that gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose? Because once you find that, it puts you in your power place. See, if you know what your life work is, I encourage you to start working on it. If you can't do it all at one time, do just a little bit of it. And if you don't know what it is that you showed up to do, if you don't know why you're here, I encourage you to find out what your purpose is here. What is the meaning of your life?
Once you identify it, you have to invest in it. You have to support it. You have to put yourself in an environment where you can shine.
So the first question we have to ask ourselves this morning is, how do we find ourselves? That's challenge number one. And we find ourselves when we discover our purpose. The world is so full of apathy. It's so full of average. A person with passion always stands out. It sets us apart. It sets us above the crowd. So once you have passion and once you have a sense of energy in your life, it just sets you apart. It distinguishes you. It already gives you what I would call a head start in success in life.
There are way more followers in the world than there are leaders. Never assume people think of you the way you think of yourself. What perceptions are you creating? If you're going to put these negative perceptions out there about yourself, at least be conscious of.
So I'm saying that we have to work through the challenges of life and learning how to begin to work to fortify ourselves. I can live my dream. I can find my purpose in life. I deserve more for myself. Just start working at it just a little bit, but do find out what your work is and hold on to it and don't let your dream go. Don't let it go. Why is it that most people don't pursue their dreams or don't do better than what they're doing if they're capable of doing it? I think that many of us don't go the next step because we don't know what to do yet. And I say that the reason that we don't even explore the possibility of what to do is because subconsciously we don't believe that it can happen for us. We don't believe that we deserve it.
So let's talk about it. Never assume people think of you the way you think of yourself. Once you decide to put these perceptions out there in the universe, if you're not content with the way most of the people think of you, now you're on a mission to change those perceptions. When you change those perceptions, people are going to either decide to roll with you or not. You have been blessed with so many gifts and talents, natural gifts, and if you unleash everything that you're capable of doing on the world at one time, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be too much. You are a gift from God. You have so many talents. If you drop too much on people at one time, it's going to be overwhelming.
There are going to be plenty of times in your life when you're not happy. There might be years. And so it's a shallow boat in a very rough ocean. Happiness is something that descends upon you. Everyone knows that. It comes upon you suddenly. And then you should be grateful for it because there's plenty of suffering. And if you happen to be happy, wonderful. Enjoy it. Be grateful for it. And maybe try to meditate on the reasons that it manifested itself, because it can come as a mystery, you know. You don't necessarily know when you're going to be happy. Something surprising happens and delights you. And you can analyze that. You can think, well, I'm doing something right. I'm in the right place right now. I've done something right. Maybe I can hang on to that. Maybe I can learn from that. What you should be pursuing instead is you should be pursuing who you could be. That'd be the first thing. It's like, because you're not who you could be, and you know it. You have guilt and shame and regret. You berate yourself for your lack of discipline and your procrastination and all your bad habits. You know perfectly well that you're not who you could be. And God only knows who you could be. And so that's who you should be that's what you should be striving for. And associated with that, you should be attempting to formulate some conception of the highest good that you can conceive of, that you can articulate. Because why not aim for that? Your life is short and it's troublesome. And perhaps you need to do something worthwhile with it. And if so, then you should do the most worthwhile thing. Figure out what that is for you and to dispense with those parts of you that are unworthy. And then maybe, if you're fortunate and you do that carefully, then happiness will descend upon you from time to time. And that's the best you've got. And then also perhaps during sorrowful times, the fact that you've strengthened your character and that you're aiming at the highest that you can conceptualize, that'll give you the moral fortitude to endure without becoming corrupted during those times.
So here's what I'm suggesting. How much time do you spend working on you? How much time do you spend every day working on your dream? In the last 90 days, how many books have you read? In the last year, what new skill or knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in you? Now, I'm saying that as you begin to look at where you want to go, if you want to make it today, and things are changing so fast, you have to literally run to stand still. I'm saying that you've got to make some conscious effort to begin to work to develop you.
Dream, and I'm here to tell you, there are a whole bunch of you out there. You're adding value to the dream of somebody that you're working with. You're making a difference. So your purpose may not be just for personal use. It may be for corporate use or collective use. It may be bigger than you. Does that make sense? Passion. But the second question we ask ourselves is not only what am I passionate about, but what are my strengths? What am I good at? What is my spiritual giftedness? Because when God created you, He gave you gifts, spiritual strengths to enable you to find and fulfill your purpose.
Disciplines undone in the future give us poor results. Discipline managed well gives us good results. We're affected by our dreams, our vision of the future. You want to make sure that the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. Some people live in the past, let their life be continually pulled and influenced by the past. And yes, we must remember the past and review the past and make it useful to invest in the future. Make sure that the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. If you're skimpy on your dreams, that isn't very well planned, then it doesn't pull very hard. Then you have more of a tendency to be pulled by the past or to be pulled apart by events or circumstances. So in order to save yourself from being pulled apart by distractions or pulled back to the past, you want to now start really designing the future so that the greatest part of your attention and pull, like a magnet, pulls you forward into the future to accomplish.